Holy shite. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. If you've been following the case of Anna Kepner, the 18-year-old lovely young lady who had her entire future arranged, planned to go into the military to escape her dramatic, chaotic, multi-generational mixed bag, if you will, which is not a criticism about that, but her family situation was unbelievable. She's the beautiful woman who went on a cruise and showed up dead on the ship, stuffed under her bed, under the life preservers at 18 years old. She had just turned 18. And the suspect, if you're not sure, her stepbrother. The parents, in their infinite wisdom, thought it would be wise to place 3 teenagers, a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, and an 18-year-old, 2 hormonal men with a beautiful young woman. And then we'd learn from her ex-boyfriend that the one hormonal man, now the suspect, the 16-year-old, had an infatuation with her. And then we learn from the autopsy results. Well, this is going to get interesting. Please stick with me. You want to stick with me because this is going to get interesting. We learn from the autopsy results that Miss Kepner, Anna Kepner, died from asphyxiation. Somebody had a stronghold on her at her time of death. It was registered that was done by what is called an arm bar hold. An arm bar hold. Now, that's important with what we're about to share here, because we are learning, as you may recall, the parts of this case that around the family, and that the 16-year-old is a suspect only because stepmother, who you see up on screen, is fighting for custody with her ex-husband over said 16-year-old that is now living elsewhere and not allowed to come home, given the fact that he's a suspect in a murder charge. We also learned yesterday that charges are coming soon. Whether or not they're federal or state charges is yet to be determined by the FBI. The FBI is investigating this because it happened on the international seas. But what you're about to hear is jaw-dropping shocking. Shocking. Shocking, like beyond words. And then the judge's response, boy, oh boy. I don't know anything about family law, but boy, oh boy. Listen in.
Medication.
Every morning.
Step aside for a break. Keep in mind, we are in a family court setting. This is not a criminal court. But I wonder if any of the information that's coming out in this court setting could be used if there is a criminal trial. We'll talk about.
Yeah, so what you just heard, the tail end of, which isn't why I'm posting this video, but it's just an interesting note. The very tail end of. Stepmom forgot to give the 16-year-old, he missed the night of the episode to take some of his meds. Apparently he was on ADHD medication, which he took daily. Mom was in control of, but also sleep medication. And he'd missed 2 of his sleep medications the night before. But that's not what we're going to talk about right now. I just wanted you to know that simple fact, because it goes to the responsibility of the parents. By the way, it was also said, just to add in here before I forget another really important point, that there was the younger brother had left the cabin and left Anna inside the cabin, and when he came back to get in after running around taking pictures, since it was their last night on the ship, he heard scuffling in the cabin and he couldn't get in. And the 16-year-old, now the suspect to have allegedly lockholded and murdered Anna, wouldn't let him in. But we also learned through this court trial that he literally just had to turn around. I've been on cruises. Have you been on cruises? the pathways, like you could extend your arms and almost touch the both side of the door. The hallways on the ships are not wide. He literally could have turned around and banged on his parents' door, who went to bed at 6:30 that night and didn't bother to check in on Anna from 6:30 p.m. until the next day at 11, when the room, the staff member who cleaned the room went in and found her under the bed. What the heck is that? But let's listen. That's again, this case is so bizarre on the irresponsibility. But when you hear this, and then you hear the judge's response, you're going to be even more dumbfounded.
With our analysts on the other side of this break. Stay with us. You're watching Court TV.
Okay.
Now back to Florida for a child custody hearing involving the family of Anna Kepner. She was the teen who was found dead on a cruise ship last month. And Chantel Kepner, her stepmother, who was married to Anna's biological father, Christopher, is in a dispute with her ex-husband over the custody of their minor children. And that includes Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother, who's being investigated in connection to her death, according to the family. Let's pick things up where we left off. The judge is hearing about possible living arrangements for the children while they were on this cruise. And also they're going to get to whether or not that teen stepbrother was medicated during the time of the cruise. We want to remind you, we have been muting the audio when they mention that minor stepbrother's name because he has not been charged.
Did he take the medication on the cruise with him?
Yes. He also takes a nighttime pill as well.
The same medication?
No, it's clonidine.
What is that for?
Insomnia.
Did you hold on to the medications?
Yes.
Did you make sure he took his medications every day?
He took his morning pill every day, and he missed 2 doses of his clonidine at night.
Okay. We're playing this because I decided at the last minute it was important here, but this is not the point of this message of this video. So listen to this for a few more seconds and we're going to skip forward to the SHIT part.
You held on to the clonidine as well?
Mm-hmm.
That's yes?
Yes, sorry.
And what do you mean you missed the doses? What happened there?
He went to bed before he got it. He was already asleep.
Including that Thursday night?
No, Thursday night he didn't get it. I fell asleep before he did.
She fell asleep at 6:30 at night, apparently. I don't know. Okay, so he didn't get his medication because she fell asleep. But let's pause because I want to talk about the really dumbfounding part. Let's go. So again, let's just recap before you hear the numbing, jaw-dropping part. This is a custody battle. Rightfully so. Thomas Hudson, the father, the biological father of said suspect, said 16-year-old, is trying to get custody of his younger daughter, given the fact that somebody on their little family vacation showed up dead. So this is the court hearing of the father, the biological father of the suspect, whose name is not mentioned for privacy issues given his age, 16, versus the stepmom, the irresponsible one on the cruise. Just my opinion. Just my opinion.
Investigates Kepner's death. Thomas Hudson is the father of her stepbrother, who is allegedly named a suspect in her death, and that father has filed an emergency motion. Thomas claims that the youngest child he shares with Chantel, who is Anna's stepmom, was in imminent danger due to the events on the cruise ship. We'll hear from him later this hour, but for now, Thomas and Chantel's eldest son is on the stand. And a reminder, the name of the alleged teen suspect in this case has been muted throughout, so if you hear quiet, that's why. Let's go back in.
Okay, so this is the part that is gonna blow your mind. Gonna blow your mind off. Listen to this. Listen to this. OMG.
Please state your name, sir.
Andrew Hudson,
And how old are you, sir?
18,
What's your birthday?
10/4/07.
You just turned 18 October 4th of this year.
Yes, sir.
And who do you reside with?
My dad.
And how long have you resided with your dad?
2 years.
And when you've been residing with your dad, have you been able to maintain contact with your brother?
No, not really.
Okay, so listen to this. This is, again, a custody hearing. Okay. The gentleman, Andrew Hudson, is the oldest son. He is, as we just heard, 18 years old, just turned 18 in October. The older brother of the alleged suspect, his younger brother, the 16-year-old. Okay. Keep listening because it gets super interesting and shocking.
What do you mean, not really?
Very, very little contact.
And why is that?
I haven't been allowed to see him. Yeah,
Who has he been living with up until recently?
up to my knowledge, my mom.
Okay, so mom, the immature one, in my opinion, who went to sleep at 6:30 and didn't give her 16-year-old the sleep meds that he needs. He missed twice on a 7-week-day cruise. Was immature enough, she looks like a tweenie, just my opinion, immature enough to not let this gentleman, this Andrew Hudson, her oldest son, one of the kids ended up dead on a cruise in a household that seems a little bit irresponsible, unregulated, ignores warnings that people are claiming to have given them about their suspect son. I don't know, Judge. I'm not sure how many more imminent situations could arise than a murder on a cruise. I don't know, but the judge doesn't seem to think that's imminent enough. I don't know, urgent enough. I don't know Florida law, so maybe I'm out of bounds here, but I'm shocked. Keep listening.
And as we sit here in December of 2025.
Well, you gotta, first off, I know he doesn't remember the date, but it would have been 24 based on the relocation of the parties.
But but let me ask you this, would it have occurred prior to the party's stipulation that permitted Mrs. Hudson to move to and relocate to Brevard County?
That was after, Your Honor.
So it occurred after the stipulation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a little bit of leeway then.
Was there some sort of altercation that happened between yourself and your mother?
Yes, when they came in, took me from they came in, took me from school and took me to Titusville.
How did you find out they were taking you to Titusville?
After I got in the car and they had took my phone already.
What do you mean they took your phone away?
I had gotten in the car, and as soon as I got in the car, she had asked me for my phone. She took it and powered it off.
Is that normal for them to take away your phone?
It sounds like they took him as a hostage here. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a parent. I mean, he would have been under 18, but he didn't know. He didn't understand why. It didn't seem like he was being punished for any reason that he could remember, and it keeps getting worse.
No, sir.
Who else was in the car?
It was my mom and my stepdad at the time.
Stepdad.
Chris?
Yep.
And
Stepdad being Anna Kepner's biological father. Keep listening.
did you let them know that you didn't want to go to Titusville?
Yes.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 16, I believe.
And how did you let them know that you didn't want to go?
I told them I didn't want to go.
And they still held on to your phone?
Yeah,
Did you try and leave the vehicle?
I did, yes. When we stopped, I tried leaving, but as soon as I would try to get out, they would speed off.
As soon as he tried to get out, they would speed off. I mean, what the dang is going on here? Keep listening.
Did anybody physically touch you?
Yes, I was put in a chokehold and held up against the seat.
He was put in a chokehold and held up against the seat. A chokehold is what killed Anna Kepner. Y'all, this family had a habit of chokeholding people against their will. And in this case, this son, Andrew Hudson, who just turned 18, who lives with his father, and not the said irresponsible stepmother to Anna Kepner and her own biological father, because he chose to leave that household after this altercation. A chokehold. What the TF?
The front seat.
Who did that?
Both my mom and Chris.
Did that happen on several occasions during the drive or just one time?
They held me against the seat until I couldn't fight back anymore.
So how long
Wow.
did that last for then? if you remember?
I want to say like 20 minutes to a half hour, maybe.
20 minutes to a half an hour. 20 minutes to a half an hour. Wow. That's a bit of discipline. 20 minutes in a chokehold. 20 minutes to a half an hour.
And do you know how long your mother had been dating Christopher prior to that?
If I remember correctly, 5 months. I don't remember exactly how long.
Had you been to Titusville over those 5 months when she had been dating him?
I've been over there a couple times. Yeah, it was sometimes every other weekend.
So Titusville was where the stepdad lived, and he didn't want to go to Titusville. And they said, "We don't really care, son. We're going to chokehold you until you give up, and we're going to bring you there, whether you like it or not, for 20 minutes to a half an hour."
And during the 5 months that your mother was dating Christopher, did she allow you to drink alcohol?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What were the circumstances that happened?
we were just
Wow. He was 16 and he was allowed to drink alcohol.
drinking. She would be on the phone with Chris sometimes, FaceTiming, and she would allow me to drink.
What type of alcohol do you recall?
I don't remember exactly what kind of alcohol it was.
Was it cans or
It was out of a bottle.
was it poured into a cup?
Yes, sir.
Were any of your other siblings there that you recall?
My brother might have been there, but I honestly don't remember.
So based on Chris being on you said FaceTime, so he was aware of what was going on. He could see what you were doing.
I believe so.
Did you see what he was doing on FaceTime?
No, sir.
You said
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. How does that look for the family? This chokehold, this drinking, this older son who chose not to go live somewhere violent, forced in a chokehold. Well, listen to what Ashley Banfield has to say about that. Listen up.
dailymail.com. Josh, I don't know about you, but that one thing, the 18-year-old telling family court that his mom and his mom's husband, Chris, put him in a chokehold in the back of the family vehicle, to me, it's not going to bode well if this other child ends up in trial.
Yeah, that was a really significant detail. And I think that, what we've got to remember here is it's not just us watching that case going through family court. And, my colleague Ben Ashford at the Daily Mail has been doing a great job covering that case. He was sat there in court watching this, a bunch of media were, but who else is going to be paying close attention to that is the FBI. And when they're putting this case together, they're going to be looking at details like that and constructing a case. It may well be that these kind of instances come up in what the prosecutors are building, presenting to a jury if it gets there, if, in fact, a member of the family is charged and we do get a murder trial here. I think that is a significant detail.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes trials can be just a lot of show and jazz hands and drama, but all those things matter because they get to the gut of the juror. And if the juror thinks that this family's normal restraint technique or discipline is a chokehold, and then they find out that the 16-year-old allegedly put his sister in a chokehold and she died, it's a little easier to get there, right? You're a little closer to reasonable, getting past reasonable doubt.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Well done, Ashley. It's true. This is wild.
Can I ask you about the custody hearing? Because that seems to be where everything's coming from, right? No one's talking about the issue of the minor child and the crime that they're investigating, which is normal. But the custody hearing is just rife with details. And it looks like, according to the mom, right, and a stepmom, they're getting close to charging the kid. What have you found out?
Yeah, so there were some really interesting statements that were coming from Chantel's lawyer as well, the stepmom's lawyer, in that custody case. So what they were saying was that it sounds like we're getting close to the point of charges. It's just a discussion of whether it's going to be federal charges or state. And there is a law where the federal law enforcement can pass a case like this over to the state's law enforcement bodies to prosecute. It is a difficult thing and a not standard thing to prosecute a juvenile in federal court. There are all kinds of restrictions restrictions, and it might be a difficult case to fight because of that. But there is an issue there. Although there is a kind of legal precedent for doing that, the fact is that this murder, and I think we can call it that now, this murder seems to have occurred in international waters while that boat was sailing towards Miami. And so there is a question of jurisdiction. If they try to pass it over to state bodies, will, Miami, for example, would they actually be able to prosecute if it wasn't in Miami, it was in international waters? So it may actually end up in federal court. But that is if they do decide to charge the 16-year-old stepbrother who, according to these court documents coming out of the custody case, is a suspect. The FBI are remaining very tight-lipped on this. So this is all information we're getting from that custody case, right? But another detail that makes us, think that maybe we're getting close here is there are these various tests that are nearly back. They're not back yet, but we have a psychiatric evaluation of the 16-year-old, and we have a toxicology report, which has been, out for a while now, several weeks, and so we should be getting that fairly soon, I would have thought. Once those things are in, that's kind of putting together the key pieces of evidence that you would need in hand as a investigator before you think about charging.
Thank you for watching.
So yeah, let's hope there's charges coming soon. But this case is absolutely wild, and I don't quite understand how a judge doesn't see the imminency of this situation for custody. But then again, I'm not a family lawyer. Thank you for being here. Stay tuned. Do all the YouTube things. Love and light.